Okay, so let's talk about Kendrick Lamar's newest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Now, this one was very interesting for me to even want to make a video for because I feel it's such a personal album. And with a personal album like this, I think that the artist is going to say what they need to say because it's just like a personal diary of sorts. And I feel like at this point in his career, I don't think he's looking to make a radio hit or anything like that. He's just making like the music he wants to, so it's very difficult to sort of try and dissect this. And this like review, whatever you want to call it, of mine is just going to be a whatever in the air because there's been so many discussions about this, specifically Auntie Diaries, which we will talk about briefly. But anyways, before I get started, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you also hit that notification bell to know when videos drop. I will be doing a video on the new My Chemical Romance song as well. I think Mondays are just going to be music Mondays now for me for this channel. We'll see. But let's get right into this. So pretty much this album, as I said, very much so feels like Kendrick's personal diary he's been writing of sorts, and just his observations of the world since his last release, which was Damn, or you could say the Black Panther album. So it's been about 5 years now. And so we're pretty much here seeing everything that he's been seeing, whether it's the protests, social justice movements, also his own personal life, as well as his own growth and other artists around him. He's pretty much just speaking on what he has seen, how he's observed the world, and how he has grown himself from it. And some of his views have changed as well. And I think some of that is very important here as well. He talks about things like cancel culture as well, talking about how there needs to be sort of this way for people to express all of these thoughts out and not fear being like brought down by the critic or whatever that may be. And I think that's something important that he touched upon in this album a lot, when he says that he shouldn't be put as some pedestal either of this sort of like savior, which he does on the album titled Savior, which is one of my favorite songs on the album as well. And so I think that's very interesting for him to say this as well, because we do see a lot of people put celebrities, musicians, or whoever that may be on these pedestals as this is the person that we're going to listen to 100% all of the time. Whatever they say goes. They're never wrong. But at the end of the day, as he says in the songs, we forget that they are human as well, and they are just as flawed. So a lot of the times these sort of people who put these ideas out and are put on a pedestal, I think the problem is that most of the time, as being humans, they will be flawed. And so when the message they're putting out there is so attached to the person, and if the person for some reason gets knocked down from grace for whatever it may be, as we see a lot of times this happens, then the whole message goes as well. Whereas I think that the message should be the one to live on past that person, whether that person's at the top or not anymore, the message still continues. And I think that's such an important thing to remember, is to never put these people on pedestals, because once they're knocked down out of that pedestal for whatever reason it may be, everything goes with them. So I think that the idea that they have, like whether it's for social progression or any of that, is important, but don't really attach it to that one person. That's what I got from that myself. I think that we also see a lot about himself growing within his relationship, even with his friends and family, as well as with his spouse, talking about infidelities, fatherhood, and things like that as well. I think that was such an important thing that he really discussed in this album as well, and definitely really lets us see him in another aspect that we haven't really seen from him either on tracks like Father Time, Mother I Sober, Purple Hearts, things like that. So I think that that's really a great way to see this album. Like I said, is some people have also said that it's like a therapy session that you're attending with him, and we're sort of like witnessing this from like a third person being in the room as he's sort of discussing and laying out all of this trauma and stuff as well. And he's sort of talking to the culture about it. And I think that's very interesting of an album to do. And I think it was something that many weren't expecting from him to do in this album. Like I said, this is definitely his most personal album, I think, to date, but at the same time, speaking in larger volumes, I feel like from this album, you could take a song and definitely it should like hit you in some way or another, or if not all of the songs. I think there is a lot that he's saying here as well. And I think for this being his last album, it definitely is great because he's really reflecting on his past years as a musician, but not just that. He's going all the way back to childhood and seeing just how much he's grown and really leading himself up to that next path that he's taking, whatever it may be, and seeing just how much of like growth there's been. And I think that's always important for one to do in their own life, is to go back and think about where they were at a certain point and where they are now. It definitely is a lot different. So I think that this album is definitely about growth, and I think it's a Kendrick album for himself more than anything, but one that you can really dissect from. So yeah, like I said, it's definitely a diary of sorts. So Auntie Diaries definitely is the most, I would say, controversial song on this album. And so my thought process on that is that I think that people who are upset are rightfully upset if they really feel that way. And I think that this is definitely a conversation starter, and definitely should listen to the people that are upset by this song. But let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, about this whole song, issue with Auntie Diaries, also the album as a whole. As I said, my favorite tracks on here definitely are Savior, Purple Hearts, Mother, I Silver, and just a very, very heavy on the Trauma album. So I think there's definitely something in there that anybody can resonate with. So definitely excited to hear more of the discourse as this comes out. And let me know in the comments below if you're going to be heading out to the tour in support for this album, and what you think about this album compared to his other discography as well. Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, as always, that is going to do it for me. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Make sure you hit that notification bell to know when videos drop. Mondays are just going to be for music now, so I do have the My Chemical Romance thought video on the new song as well. Should be out by the time you're listening to this. And as always, that's going to do it for me. Make sure that you are hitting the notification bell, subscribe button, on the road to 21,000, less than 200 to go. So super excited for that. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. Follow me on all the social medias, Culture Elixir on Twitter, also TikTok, all the good stuff there. But YouTube is where I do the main stuff, and the podcast will come back. So stay tuned for that as well. But anyways, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.